Well, hello. Looks like we already have somebody here. Kind of surprised. And this is kind of an extemporaneous, impromptu uh, little discussion because some things have been happening, and it reminded me of some wise words and instruction I received many, many years ago, and which I thought I would share today because of the circumstances that I'm feeling, and I thought maybe it would be helpful for some of you as well. Not that I presume to know any more than you or understand any more than you, but well, let me just talk about it and then you can take it or leave it for what it's worth. Good morning, everybody. At least it's morning where I am still. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I've already been out and doing my walks and doing my meditations and those types of things. Again, I didn't notify any of my mods I was going to do this. It just kind of occurred to me. I was going to do it outside around some nice green trees and things, but there's just too many things going on today. A lot of noise in the background. I don't really feel like driving somewhere looking for a place where I'll be able to get a signal. So this is going to have to do. And in my car, it's actually pretty good because I understand that the sound works pretty well from here. And you get a little bit. I've parked near a little bit of vegetation, so hopefully that breaks up some of the monotony. Okay, like you say, what's up, Roy? Why don't you just say it? Why don't you just say it? Um, Sometimes you ask for things not because you don't deserve to know, or not because God wants to keep it from you, but because you only have a capacity to work through so much information. And we want to know, we're constantly, I know I've been like that, and I've told you before, we see all these things happening around us, and we ask God in prayer, or however you want to view it, why? And we don't get an answer, or the answer we get is no, I can't let you know that right now. That's my job, not yours. And I've talked about that before. And by the way, if you wondered, yes, this is going to be a spiritual discussion. So if you're not interested in that, I'll give you the heads up so you can check out now, okay? uh, as all of you should know by now, I've made a lifetime study of spiritual matters, not just military and political and all of that. And some of that, a good portion of it, has revolved around what Jesus would call, of course, the mysteries, and that those mysteries are not given to all to know, only the chosen. And everybody wants to be the chosen. I said that before. Everybody wants to be right. Few want to get right. And in a lot of ways, probably in most that I would not like to admit, I'm no different. I want to know things. I want to think that I know things. And sometimes you find out why you don't get the information that you want. A lot of it has to do with that we're the ones that are trying to learn here what works, what doesn't, and who we really are. And we can't find out who we really are if we feel forced by some power to do certain things. We have to be able to pick our own way, um, so that we can find out who we are, and what in fact we really deserve. So at any rate, getting to the core of the matter, the last 2 days have been an inundation of information to me. Some good, some bad, a lot spiritual, a lot of things that impact upon our spiritual and physical well being. All of the lies and deceits that are being twisted and turned for all sorts of reasons, all sorts of agendas. And sifting through it has become a burden. as I'm sure most of you feel. And this is all deliberate. It's a form of warfare. As I've mentioned before, on the battlefield, you use mass to attack an enemy so that they can't sustain the defense because it's too big. Uh, and there are other factors involved as well, deception, et cetera, et cetera. And right now we just have so much information we can't get through one piece before we get hit by another one. And if we attempt to keep up with that, we get overwhelmed. And it's a form of getting you to give up. So let me tell you a few things I learned from my mystical meditation experience. And I know a lot of people don't like the word mystical because it has new age connotations to most people, when in fact it's just a good way to define that you're using a process that uh, looks inside for the answers rather than outside. That's really all it is. Because God still voices in your heart and is in the deep recesses of your mind. Um, and so you need to sometimes just admit that and go inside and see what you can find. But even there, if you insist on too much information, it can overwhelm you. And that's why I entitled this video that sometimes the fervent faithful go insane because they ask for too much too fast, not even asking for it, really demanding it. And then when they get it, they can't process it and they go insane. There are mystical sages in history, and I mentioned this before, both in my documentaries and in my film, The Crimson Thread, and my book, that even the best of faithful followers of God, those who want to know Him, know that when you enter His realms, when you ask for answers to prayer, when you want to see the truth, you have to go only a short way into that meadow, into that garden, and then you have to almost immediately return because it's too much. We're not in a condition in our present state, and never will be, even with this AI that they're doing, that they think that they can withstand this sword of the cherubim that guards the tree of life. They think that they can, the flaming sword, that they think that they can get by that by using this AI system, and they won't, because what God has is so much grander than even they can comprehend with their massive digital machines, etc., etc. So some of these old sages, these old meditative sages, sometimes they violated that principle of going only so far and then returning, and they went too far. And there is documentation of some of these sages going insane because they could not continue to process the information at the speed it was given to them because they insisted on it. Sometimes you get what you ask for, and it's not a good thing, right? Especially if you're incessantly demanding it. Sometimes that'll happen. And they did go insane. And I won't give the names out of some of those sages that had that happen to them, but some of us are feeling it right now. The apocalypse is the revealing. It's the awakening. I mentioned it the other night, and I mentioned it several times on many videos and on YouTube. Revelation is the English translation of the Greek apocalypse, which is an awakening or a revealing. And remember when Adam and Eve, I talked about it in the Garden of Eden, where Adam was awakened and his feminine counterpart, the woman, is revealed to him. He's awakened to her. And then, of course, when they make the fall, um, you know, the description is that their eyes were opened, awake, and they realized they were naked, which didn't mean necessarily just that they didn't have any clothes on. It meant some other connotations, which I've explained before as well, and I'm not really going to go into that here. But the point is, this isn't just a New Age concept. It's a Hebraic, actually Christian concept. Jesus said, of course, the miracle that John the Baptist, John the Baptist was in prison, and John the Baptist was wondering if Jesus really was the Messiah, and so he sent word by his followers to ask Jesus if he was in fact the Messiah, the one that they were looking for. And what was the answer that Jesus gave? Well, tell John the blind are getting their sight back, the dumb are getting their hearing back. What is that he's saying? They're awakening. The reveal is occurring. And so today we have the revealing of the evil that has been controlling us for so long, and it's a lot that's coming out very, very quickly. And it's extremely troubling. It causes a lot of anxiety. We don't know exactly how to deal with it. And so we need to lengthen our stride in one respect, but we need to pace ourselves as well. Let me give you another parable to show you what I mean. Water is a life-giving substance. As a matter of fact, without water, you'll die, right? But you have to drink it in small amounts, right? You have to sip it. You have to let it process through your mouth and through your throat and into your stomach. It's something that you have to take a little at a time. What happens, like in waterboarding, for instance, or if you get water thrown down your throat too fast, too quickly? In other words, you're not getting a little bit, but you actually have it forced onto you. You drown, right? That's a spiritual concept as well. So a lot of this is being revealed so quickly right now that we're drowning. And so there are days you're going to have to put it away. You're going to have to set it down and walk away from it. I'm not saying give up. I'm saying you need to take your sip and set the glass down and wait a bit before you go back and take another sip. Because if you try to force all of that down at once, you're going to choke, possibly drown. Right? Yeah, if it goes down the wrong pipe. Exactly. Yeah, somebody said if it goes down the wrong pipe. I'm out where it's bright, so it's hard for me to see the chat. So I asked that I get more information, and it's been unmanageable. And I've felt that anxiety the last few days, not because I'm not getting answers, but because there's nothing I can do about it. It's coming so fast that I have to back away and say I'm just going to have to observe this for a while. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I wanted to pass that on to you today with the parable about the water, that water is a necessary life-giving substance, sustaining life, but it has to be taken in small amounts. That if you fall into water and can't breathe, or if you drink it so fast that you pass out because you're not breathing, or it gets down into your lungs, or there's even the situation that happened some years ago. You might remember there was a contest, I think it was a radio contest, and it was about who could drink the most water. And a woman who drank way too much water, actually it became a toxic to her system because she overloaded her body with the water. She didn't drown. What she did was she She, I don't know what you'd even call that, hydrolyzation, I'm not sure, but she died from it. Even water. So even the good life-sustaining, spiritually sustaining things, in our state, we can only handle so much at a time. And it's because of that, again, that I get very upset with people who demand that everybody else be at their level of understanding or spiritual growth. And again, I point out this to Christians in particular. I'm not saying that people in Islam aren't guilty of this, or Jews, or anybody else, but when you demand that somebody else believe what you believe, and that you hold them to whatever it is that you hold sacred, and that you condemn them if they don't follow you along, calling them names, accusing them of things, you're giving it to them too quickly. God will deal with that as long as they don't close their minds, close their hearts. They will be given that life-giving water, but if you try to force it down their throats, you're going to kill them. You're going to kill them. So don't do that. Paul put it another way, and again, sometimes I quote Paul, even though I don't trust Paul for a lot of reasons. Those of you who followed me understand why, but I won't get into that today either. But that doesn't mean that everything he says is bad, which is another example of, you rightly divide the word of God. And in this situation, he talked about those who are able to eat meat, strong meat, right? Compared to those who can only have milk. It's the same concept, really. Okay? It's the same concept. It's getting hot in here. So live what you believe in, live your faith, live your trust in God, or your moral code, live it. Be a light, be an example, but don't try to force it down somebody else's throat, because you might just drown them. Okay? That's just my spiritual message for the day. Whether maybe it's of interest to you or not, I don't even know why I felt like I needed to talk about it. I guess because I'm trying to get the attention, not through this video, but I'm working behind the scenes. I'm trying to get the attention of some people that can make a difference in this literal war that we're in right now, this war against mankind. And I'm having a difficult time doing that. I got contacted by one person. I had absolutely no idea that I was going to be contacted by this particular man, and I was. And again, it was kind of that answer to that prayer, and I was getting information again so fast I was having a hard time processing it. I'm not a scientist, right? I need to get a little bit and kind of look at it and figure it out and then go from there, right? But this is happening across the board. I'm going to say this on here, not because I think she's watching it. She probably isn't. I think I'm anathema to most of these people. But if Dr. Carrie Madej is seeing this, you need to at least look at your DMs and respond to my request, because there are people that can assist you in what you're doing that are outside the political organizations that you're involved with. And I call them political. They're not really, but I just think that that's the necessary thing. So put aside your concerns. I'm not doing this attempt to give you information because I have some design on you. Okay, you're too young for me. All right, you need to contact the person that I'm talking about and get the information from them. Okay, that's what my goal is in having tried to contact Dr. Madej. All right, that's all I've got. it's a minefield out here, ladies and gentlemen. It's a minefield. So sometimes, when you ask to walk across the minefield, you've got to be very careful. And that's what I'm doing. Hi, Ms. Cat. Thank you for being here. That's all I've got for you today. I don't want to waste your Saturday. Just take all that into consideration. Let me recap this one part. Those who have fervent faith can go too far and go insane. And they can demand things of others that they, in fact, can't even process themselves. So drink that water a little bit at a time. Sip it. Don't try to jump in the lake when you can't swim. All right? And don't make anybody else do that. If anybody, I had one last thing. I had a follower on Twitter DM me some information from Father McKinsey, who wrote quite a few books. He was quite a scholar, and his view of faith and of how we are supposed to act in those spheres is quite a bit different than what is thrown at people in the common churches. And I just want to thank that individual who sent me that information so that I could review it. It was very good, and I want to thank you very, very much for it. And that's the kind of giant spiritual leader that we need, is like Father McKinsey. And I'm not Catholic. All right? I'm not Catholic. Who is that? Hi, Felicia. Yeah, Felicia's information's good too. You've been putting out some good things, Felicia. That's all I've got for today. I've really got to go now. So I hope you have a great day, okay? We'll talk to you next time.